There's a cold edge in the air at Ford Field lately, not the usual chill from Detroit winters creeping through the cracks of our storied stadium. No, this one's colder, sharper, a reminder that the grind, the hits, the blood and sweat the Lions pour out every August don't always just toughen us up. Sometimes they break you. And breaking has become the latest villain creeping down this preseason sidelines. Picture a late summer night in Atlanta, the Falcons in their nest, the Mercedes-Benz Stadium packed for what should be another gritty game to know you for Dan Campbell's brigade. The kind of night where the roar mixes with the smell of popcorn and dreams. Then something shatters it all. Morris Norris crumples to the turf, not like a hard hit, but like the silence just hit the volume button. Heads snap up, breath tightens, and for a moment, all the usual noise trash talk plays, and halftime cheers get shoved off the field. That moment wasn't just a red flag waving. It was a spotlight blasting on something much bigger. How fragile this Lions roster is this summer. How the mounting injuries are more than just numbers in a locker room notebook. Dan Campbell, usually the battle-hardened war storyteller, seemed shaken. It's an eye-opener, he said after the game. Puts things in perspective. And we felt it too, a shared heartbeat through the Honolulu blue and silver. Because if you can stomach the history of our Lions, you know that the story of resilience is always woven tightly with a shadow of heartbreak. And speaking of stories, here's where this gets gritty. Just a few days after Norris's scary fall, he hops back on Instagram, cool as a late-night cast corridor dive bar, dropping, "Amen, I'm all good, man, don't stress and appreciate all the checks-ins and love." Detroit's own. This kid's got that Motor City toughness, but beneath the social media cool, there's the reality of a team limping into the season with 7 players already on injured reserve. Season ending, and that's just the headline. Kenny Yeboah, Colby Siorsto, Justin Herron, you name it. Those big bodies meant to anchor the offense and keep the edge on defense are down. And rookies? Corner Ennis Rakestraw, a guy who came in with all the potential in the world, hitting every freshman wall, and then some, is hurt again, shoulder surgery this time. It's like our young guys are pulling shifts for Detroit's rebirth, but keep getting knocked off the clock before the whistle. Add rookie safety Dan Jackson, who was lighting it up early and then got yanked with a leg injury during the practice, and the pain registers. It's like déjà vu from Barry's last rush. So much promise, snapped short by a cruel twist of fate. And this the injuries. The endless grind is part of the bigger puzzle Dan Campbell and Ben Johnson face. Balancing the brutal run-heavy identity, Campbell preaches with enough pass threat to keep the fences honest. Norris? He's central to that puzzle, the safety acting like a dam downstream, breaking those Falcon runs and clearing lanes for our blitz packages in Dan's wild plans. When Norris went down, it rippled through the depth chart like a lightning bolt. Who's taking those snaps? More passes? Are we letting down protection boards thinner than a Ford Mustang sheet metal? And for rookies like Rakestraw, weighing in at 5'11" and under 190 pounds, it's not just a playbook that crushes, it's the sheer physical toll transitioning to an 18-week NFL season, the constant pounding, the wear on muscles that haven't been trained for this kind of fight. We fans remember when Aidan Hutchinson took a nasty break, but bounced back like the Detroit Spirit, stronger, faster, meaner. Shouldn't our team be following his lead on recovery instead of stacking bodies on that IR? There's truth in what the vets like Tom Brady preach. Conditioning isn't just lifting weights or running laps. It's a science, hydration, nutrition, flexibility drills that some call wizardry, keeping those muscles as smooth and deadly as a well-oiled automaker's assembly line. Yet here we are, watching hopes and contracts unravel with each practice, the roster's depth thinner than the ice on Belle Isle come spring, and the Lions' off-season moves, draft picks, and cap maneuvers suddenly hang in the balance. Does our run-heavy offense put too much wear on the linemen like Siorsto or Herron who hit the shelf? What does? Kenny Yeboah's absence mean for third down plays or red zone targets, especially with a passing game still finding its legs. And while Lions fans have seen brutal playoff heartbreaks and witnessed legends like Calvin's farewell and Barry's silent exit, there's still a flicker in the whiskey dark nights of Motor City. This could be the year the heartbreak fades. But that won't happen if the team can't heal fast enough. Picture this in the locker room after practice. A rookie hears the news, whispers, "Hey, they say Aid's secret is some crazy rehab routine. Want me to email it over?" A veteran laughs, shaking his head. "Kid, out here, it's all grit. And maybe a little prayer to the football gods." So as the preseason wraps and the real battle lines form under those unforgiving stadium lights, we wait. Who steps up? Who gets stretched thin? How deep will this injury hole swallow our roster? Because with every snap counted, every play called, there's more riding on this than wins and losses. It's about reclaiming Detroit's pride, hammering home a season where toughness isn't just a word, but the lifeblood running through every snap. And the real question? Because in Detroit, we don't just play football. We fight for every damn second. And this fight, it's just getting started. Let me tell you, when Detroit's pride is on the line, it's not just about snapping the ball or drawing up X's and O's. It's about the raw, bleeding grit that's buried deep in our DNA. Because, see, those injuries aren't just numbers. They're ghosts haunting the locker room, whispering doubts that maybe this season's story shouldn't be written with so much scar tissue. Think about it. Yeboah's absence on third downs not only weakens the red zone threat, but forces Johnson to dig even deeper into the dark corners of his playbook, begging the question, how do you adapt when your weapons are hemorrhaging before kickoff? Now, don't forget, we're operating with just 5 tight ends on the roster, and last season's contracts cap at a point where cutting even one injured vet could save enough to pick a star off the free agent scrap heap, but at what cost? In chemistry and veteran leadership? While Stafford and the Rams are quietly navigating their own mess, Detroit suffered a scare worse than the 0-16 nightmare. History has cursed us with heartbreaks that echo from the dark days of the 2000s, where every close call felt like the last chapter in a movie no one wanted to remember. Yet, this isn't just about past scars. It's about tomorrow and the fight to make sure our season doesn't veer down that same dark alley. And here's where it cuts deeper. Campbell, always the fiery coach, now steps into a new realm of tactical chess, torn between pounding the ball with the battered offensive line or shifting gears into a pass-first scheme, risking even more. Bodies in the line of fire, because if Hutchinson comes back at full strength, maybe the pass rush can cover for some of the secondary's rookie sins. But if not, every snap becomes a gamble. Meanwhile, the secondary's already looking thin as hell. A lack of depth in the cornerback rotation might leave us exposed. And with Rakestraw's shoulders still raw, we're flirting dangerously with starting a rookie who's been beaten like a drum talking about his lessons learned, not realizing the NFL doesn't do second chances quite that easy. Something whispers from the shadows, do we risk rushing him back? Or do we lean into the hard truth that in Detroit, tough isn't enough anymore? We need grit and resilience, or we will burn out faster than a Detroit winter street lamp. And all these questions hang heavy in the air, like the smoke of a cigarette in a dark lounge. Because the cap space is so tight-clipping, a rookie's contract just to sign another unproven free agent isn't an option. Not when the teams, lap full of veterans with high caps, sit on the edge of expiration. So what's really at stake isn't just keeping the roster afloat. It's about the soul of the team, about whether we can patch enough together, devise a scheme where our kids grow up fast, and keep the engine running, because last year's wildcard heartbreak still echoes. The heartbreak that almost had us believe in legends like Barry and Calvin all over again. And see, nobody's forgotten those late-game collapses under the Ford Field lights, or how Dan Campbell's not just a coach, but a man who's bled through cuts and bruises to rebuild something truly Detroit. And inside that locker room, there's talk quiet but fierce about leaning into This crisis as the ultimate test of the blue-collar grit that made our city legendary. What if the key to turning this chaos into triumph lies in something as simple as a call from the offensive coordinator, an unexpected shift to a power run on 3rd and long, or activating a rookie on the practice squad in a desperation move? Because if not, we risk ceding control to divisional rivals who smell blood in the water, who'll capitalize on our injuries with a vengeance. Because behind every play, every call, every snap, there's an unseen battle raging, the fight for the soul of Motor City football. And it's determining whether this team will roar back from the edge or go quietly into the cold winter night, leaving us with nothing but memories of what might have been if those injuries hadn't struck like lightning. And the biggest secret hidden in the shadows of this growing chaos is that the real war isn't just against the Vikings or Packers on the schedule, but against the invisible forces threatening to tear this team apart, forces that are moving in silence, waiting for the moment they can come crashing down and decide whether Detroit's hopes are just another ghost story or the start of something fierce and real. In the end, one thing's clear. The true battle begins now, behind the curtain, where the battle for health, for resilience, for survival is being fought in whispers, and the team that wins that war, that's the one that gets to write history.